This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
On the news this evening, Uniport closes swimming pool over death of student. Stranded residents of Nkwogu in Port Harcourt cry out as Governor Wike orders demolition of their shanties. Special advisor to President Buhari faults insinuations Lagos rivers generate major part of country's VAT. Kogi prison break leaves soldiers dead. And on the foreign scene, United Nations seek aid for Afghanistan. I'm Carl Orakwue with the news. The University of Port Harcourt has closed its Olympic-sized pool to pleasure swimming after a student drowned in it. In a statement, the school said the use of the swimming pool will be strictly limited to professional sporting activities until further notice. It confirmed the victim was a first-year student of marine engineering at the River State University. Simply identified as Emmanuel, he is said to have been accompanied to the pool by some of his friends, Prince and Bright. His friends were arrested and detained at the Toba police station as investigations begin. His body has been deposited at the UPTH mortuary. The River State University has confirmed Emmanuel was a student of the institution. Now moving on, some residents of Nkwogu waterfront in Port Harcourt say they are stranded, following an ultimatum by the state government for them to leave the area for demolition. Some of the residents who spoke to our correspondent appealed to the state government to extend the deadline or provide alternative accommodation for them.
As governor come yesterday, say no park at the vest because my wife and my children nowhere we go. Even village where we dey with no house. Now make we come Port Harcourt here. I don't know how to do. I don't get anything at all.
I want to plead with Mr. Excellency to help us at least for interval of 2 weeks. And as for now, we don't have anywhere to go. Almost everybody that is in this place, what we labor is what we eat and feed our children.
Me, I got children. I don't get where to carry them go. I beg, give me from now to December. Mark, find where to put her. I don't just see my pikin, no clothes. I beg, not do me like this. Get consent for me, I beg.
This version where we dey inside, not be say we just plan to live inside there. But because of conditions, so if they say make we come out, find out something and look for a place to stay.
Our correspondent who visited the area reports that some residents were seen parking the property. As you may know, Governor Wike ordered the demolition of the shanties where counterfeit bottled water, carbonated soft drinks and alcoholic beverages are produced in Nkwogu. The governor had, during a visit to Nkwogu, said he got security reports of the criminal activities in the area. He also said the River State government will acquire the land.
Unbelievable. I got a security report this morning on what is going on here. And you can imagine yourself what is going on here, that people are in plastics and putting water and cockroach up, and then at the end of the day you buy the water on the road and you drink, and all kinds of diseases and sicknesses that abound, and it's most unfortunate. And if you look at the area where we are, is a criminal hideout, and I will not waste time immediately to demolish the area. In fact, this will take place in the next 2 days. I'm not going to give any ultimatum.
In another development, APC chieftain Lawrence Chukwu is backing the River State government's position on the collection of VAT. In an interview with correspondent Emeka Otuka, Dr. Chukwu, however, said the collected VAT should be used to address critical issues like payment of gratuities, backlog of civil servants entitlements, education, employment, amongst other areas neglected by the state government.
The River State government struggle on the part, I think it is part of resource control struggle. It's part of fiscal federalism. And there's nothing wrong about it. I fully support it. But my own worry is that when this VAT is collected, let first people know what has been collected and what it has been used for. For instance, it can be channeled into payment of pensioners that are languished in poverty and anguish. It can be channeled into human capacity development. It can be channeled into education, because both primary and secondary education in River State is nothing to write home about. Not a situation where money for the VAT will be collected tomorrow, nobody knows where it is being channeled to or how it's being used.
Recall that on Friday, an appeal court in Abuja ordered the River State government or any other government not to proceed to implement the court judgment which had ruled that state governments ought to collect VAT and not the FIRS. Meanwhile, a member of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Setonji David, says the state will go ahead with the implementation of his recently assented VAT law despite a stay of execution by the appeal court in Abuja last Friday. The lawmaker, who represents Badagry 2 constituency in the House, stated this when he appeared as a guest on Channels Television. Still on this, the Special Advisor to the President on Public Affairs, Ajuri Ngelale, says the belief that Lagos and Rivers states generate a major part of the country's VAT is not completely true. Speaking as a guest on Channels Television, he said Abuja also contributes hugely to the country's value-added tax.
Abuja, of course, is the site of federal ministries, departments, and agencies. And a huge bulk of VAT collection in the country was coming from VAT collected on federal contracts. When we, kind of create the impression that it's just kind of states collecting the VAT and that the federal government is essentially hijacking it and trying to share it to everybody when, in fact, it's only Lagos or only Rivers, I think is a gross oversimplification.
Mr. Ngelale said 60% of the VAT generated last year was collection from federal contracts and ports.
The initial VAT decree of '93 made it clear that federal government would collect the VAT, then of course share it with the states, which is what the country has been running on effectively since then. The formula being 85% to the state and local governments and 15% to the federal government. What's interesting is that if you look at the 1.53 trillion naira that we generated last year in VAT nationwide, over 60% of it is generated between the collection by the federal government at federal ports. And of course the execution of federal contracts, the VAT collected on federal contracts.
Still ahead on the news this evening, Kogi prison break leaves soldiers dead. To stay tuned.
Democracy is the freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. Nigeria Info opens the mic. This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Welcome back. Over 200 inmates have escaped from the medium security custodial center in Kaba, Kogi State, following an attack by gunmen. Spokesman of the Nigerian Correctional Service, Francis Onobore, said the attack, which happened around midnight, is being investigated. Meanwhile, the police say 2 soldiers at a checkpoint were killed during the attack. The Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 8 Lokoja, Ayuba Ede, said the police have been deployed to bring the situation under control. Business activities were again grounded in Anambra State today in compliance with the sit-at-home order imposed in southeast states by IPOB. This is despite the threat by the Anambra State Governor, Willie Obiano, to seal banks, sanction markets and motor park leaders who failed to open for business today. Reacting to the governor's directive, some residents of the state said nobody will adhere to it because there is no adequate security.
Okay. How will you open where people's money are there? I can bring people out to secure the banks first. Ordinary security in a way roads. Everybody foreigners become afraid of opioids and whatever. Okay. If you want to talk about security, let him come out and bring resources out. Let us go the main road first. It's a national disgrace. In the end, I've heard their pockets now. I had a similar to the country. No bank, no matter. Who's the call? I don't know what they say. Look, everybody cut the full bucket or bag. Whether it's my brother or sister, you go tell them, let you go open bag.
Other respondents spoke on the level of compliance with the sit-at-home today.
No bank open for no any security at all. If you better come out, how will you open where people's money are there? How will you open? This bank people they do business. Their money now for inside the pocket in so let people do another pocket. You don't have a to where you want go market or where you go market or you don't go market. The market where they are. Now person say you don't go to market, you no concern us. You don't concern us.
In business news, the Twitter ban in Nigeria has extended to 100 days, and in that time frame, the nation has lost 247.61 billion naira. NetBlock's cost of shutdown tools said that blockade cost Nigeria's economy 103.17 million naira every hour. and it has been 2,400 hours since the federal government banned Twitter. In entertainment news, fans are excited following news after popular American singer Jon Bellion hinted that he will be collaborating with Nigerian Grammy Award winner Burna Boy in his new song. Jon Bellion took to his Twitter page to share a picture that suggested that he and Burna are collaborating on a song. In sporting news, Portugal captain Cristiano Ronaldo says moving back to Manchester United is the best decision he has made. Ronaldo, who signed from Juventus at the end of the transfer window, scored twice on his second debut for the Red Devils as they beat Newcastle 4-1 on Saturday.
And now we'll bring you news from around the world.
The United Nations is seeking to raise more than $600 million in aid for Afghanistan, warning the country is facing a major humanitarian crisis. The plea for global support was made at a conference in Geneva and followed the Taliban's takeover last month. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says Afghans face perhaps their most perilous hour. And that does it here on the news this evening. But before we go, here's a quick look at the major stories. Earlier on, we told you the University of Port Harcourt has closed its swimming pool after a River State University student drowned in it. Stranded residents of Orakwue in Port Harcourt have cried out for an alternative accommodation as Governor Wike has ordered the demolition of their shanties. Special Advisor to President Muhammadu Buhari, Ajurin Galale, has faulted insinuations that Lagos and Rivers states generate major part of the country's VAT. The Kogi prison break... A prison break in Kogi has left 2 soldiers dead. And from the foreign scene, we told you, United Nations is seeking aid for Afghanistan. The news was edited by Choma Ezenwafo. For more stories, visit www.nigeriainfo.fm. You can, however, reach our newsroom for eyewitness news and breaking news stories on 0818-900-0017. Cloudy weather is expected in Port Harcourt this evening. I'm Carl Orakwue. Goodbye.